Glad to have you back on Repentant right here this morning. And of course, right now it's time for the big conversation. My name is Victor. Okay. And of course, on the big conversation, we have a number of stories that we're going to be sharing and talking about today, especially because in recent days, a major national debate has resurfaced in Nigeria's security conversation, where the federal government's rehabilitation and reintegration program for repentant terrorists has taken center stage. According to official reports, 744 former fighters and victims of violent extremism have just completed the deradicalisation, rehabilitation, and reintegration program under Operation Safe Corridor, with authorities stating that the initiative is aimed at restoring peace and reducing the circle of insurgency in the northeast. But while the government describes this as a non-kinetic security strategy, many Nigerians are asking, what does rehabilitation really mean in the context of terror-related crimes? How do we balance justice for victims with national security? And of course, to join us on this conversation is Professor Ibrahim Abubakar, a security expert who is going to be giving us some answers to some of the questions that we have outlined this morning. Prof, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Thanks for being here with us.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, you saw what we read out this morning. Over 700 terrorists, are to be reintegrated, into the society. Now, when you saw this, as a security expert, what came to mind for us?
Thank you, viewers. The issue of rehabilitation, reintegration, whatever way it is defined, has actually not been addressed because the protocol rule is not what they are following. And when you don't follow the protocol rule, then definitely you are going to have a lot of problems and challenges.
Right.
The first chapter of the protocol is defining and redefining their training modalities. So, who was training them before now? How were they recruited? Who actually brings them into the limelight to radicalize them?
When you talk about recruitment, are you asking how were they recruited into Boko Haram or
whatever group they belongs to?
Okay.
How were they recruited?
Into the terror group?
Yes.
Okay.
How were they convinced? What was their training modalities? This you have to find out first. You can't radicalize somebody who already have a mindset. And you are saying you are going to reintegrate these people. What was the stress of time? What is their psychological process? What has ruled their mind to change that makes you believe that they have been de-radicalized?
Okay.
When this, who were the psychologists that actually interact with them? What was the mode that was followed? Were they just human psychologists? Were they clinical psychologists? What were the percentage of rule that was played by these people?
Okay.
These are the answers we need to really find out whether they have actually been
radicalized
or de-radicalized. But then, you are integrating these people, you are reintegration. Reintegration means that these people were in the society, playing the rules of the society, knowing the laws, knowing what it means, and they step out of bounds through some process. How did this process take place? Because you cannot just run to me and said, I should join a group or a particular group. It takes a process to convince me
to join that particular group.
Yeah. Now you are telling me I should come back to the society. I will all know that even in the experience of the amnesty granted to the Niger Delta militants,
Right.
at the time, the federal government failed. Some of them were stranded in the countries where they were sent to training. So how are you sure you are going to maintain the template? What was their pay package when they were there?
Well, you did a comparison right now, talking about the Niger Delta militants, right? And of course, the terrorists now talking about the Boko Haram and the ISWAP members as it is. This group of individuals had a different ideology that they are fighting for, Some will argue that, for instance, the Niger Delta militants were fighting for the rights of the Niger Delta people, especially when it came to oil preservation and ensuring that the people of the Niger Delta actually, got a quote from what they were producing naturally. A different group of thought says that those that are causing mayhem right now in the northern region of Nigeria do not have a clear-cut ideology. So why is there a negotiation to re-radicalize these people and also reintegrate them into the society, whilst they are causing mayhem with no just cause to the people of Nigeria?
I beg to disagree with you because there was no ideology in the Niger Delta issue.
Okay.
It was a case of benefit deprivation, and what is the same thing these people are also facing. Propelled by some bodies. So if the Niger Delta issue was propelled by some bodies, this issue also is being propelled by some bodies.
Okay.
It didn't generate on its own. So who are the principal models used by these people? So I never want to use any foreign principles. I want to use our local principles. That is why I refer to the Niger Delta militants and the happenings that took place there. We have not found out why, after amnesty to the Niger Delta, these upstreams spring up in the northeast. What was the reason? What was the year gap? You understand me? You should find out that it was automatic that after the militants in Niger Delta was granted amnesty, it never take 1 year for Boko Haram to surface.
Okay.
So we were this interest group. These are the things that I felt the security organs, the operatives, the administrators, the managers have to tell us. It is not for something that we have to crack our head, but look at it relatively. The relative crime already committed by the so-called 744, what are the intents of their crime? What models have you put in place to make sure those crimes don't take place since you are reintegrating somebody
to the society?
Will you be able to follow the template? Are you going to monitor them? Are you going to place them on surveillance with the society and the rest? This is basically no. And I can say it anywhere that is basically no. So automatically you are bringing in criminals, recriminalize them, send them to the society, build their mindset to go back to much better crime.
If you put it that way as well, again, what the federal government is saying is that they are bringing these people. You recall that they actually went through a program according to what the federal government has said to us. And these 774 people, according to, again, the Minister of Defense, they have gone through that particular process of training. Now they have been de-radicalized, and they are now set and ready to be reintegrated into society. So if you're saying that they are bringing them back into the society and also going to be putting a different kind of criminal mindset to them, are you then saying that the government has actually failed in the mode in which they are re-radicalizing these individuals?
I will state straightforward. They have failed. And the federal government is we. So who are the federal government? The people are the federal government.
Well, in this context, those are the heads of affairs are the ones taking the decision, and those are the people basically that we're going to hold on to, in as much as we agree that the individuals are also part of the government. But for this context of conversation, the federal government, we're talking about the presidency, the Minister of Defense, the Chief of Defense Staff, all of these tiers of governance when it comes to security architecture as well.
These people you are referring to, the executives, let me use the word executives, the managers of security and the rest, they have failed woefully, and they continue to fail, and they will continue to fail. I have no apologies to that.
So when you say they will continue to fail, do you say, are you referring to the fact that they lack strategy, or what exactly?
It's not an issue of strategy. Our people read from the books without practicalizing what they have read. I can write anything and mean something else. So when you say you are going to de-radicalize some certain people, the numbers are high, 744.
774 actually.
Yeah, so when you say you have de-radicalized 744 people, who were actually the people that was interfacing with these 744 people? That makes you think that you have been able to achieve that. What was the period of de-radicalization? So these are the things, and how long have they been in the trenches? So you cannot see somebody who has been in the trenches for 5 years, and it takes you 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months to 6 months to de-radicalize him. It's not possible.
Okay. Again, it's also recorded that the program, which of course the Operation Safe Haven, Safe Corridor rather, has been in existence since 2016. But of course, between 2023 and 2026 right now, we've seen more structured, to an extent. Some argue that it's either structured or not structured, but for the context of this, we've seen some form of graduations coming from this program as it is. The question here is, what do you think is actually driving this increase now when it comes to, the de-radicalization and reintegration now?
You are just telling me that the Operation Safe Haven started, Safe Corridor started about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So let's look at 10 years ago. What has actually changed? In the narratives, what has changed?
In your view as a security expert?
Instead, we have increase of abnormalities, and when we have increase of these abnormalities, have we been able to re-strategize? The answer is no. So if we have not been able to re-strategize, then we are just constituting another part of failure, and we are just wasting our resources on things that will not give us honor. We have to be honest to ourselves.
All right. Now, as a security expert, basically, first let's establish this. I will be sure. Do you understand the process of de-radicalization?
I've mentioned it here.
Okay, so you do understand it
very well.
Okay, so help us break it down in a step by step. What actually happens in a de-radicalization camp?
What happened is, one, an interactive session, a process of intelligence, a narration of surveillance, a periodic mindset of the people, working on their psyche, their training process, their recruitment process, and the finances.
Okay.
Weapon handling is not just a joke. You don't just wake up and say, I can handle weapons. You understand me? So what is the effect of training? What other pattern have you used? What goes to their mindset? What human psychology did you use on them? Were clinical psychologists there? What is the development and growth process on psychology has been built? What form of training have you given them?
Okay.
Who are behind the recruitment? who are behind the training,
Okay.
who are behind the finances. These are the areas we have to look at. So we cannot just wake up and say, I have some bunch of people were
Radicalizing.
radicalizing. Well, then we have to follow the protocol of deradicalization.
And what is the protocol?
The first protocol is, who are you deradicalizing?
Well, they stated that, the federal government stated that these are 774 people who are particularly part of a terror group, extremist people as well, who have been brought into the camp to be de-radicalized.
Who was the head of the command or unit? The team leader. So the protocol is where and how were these people radicalized? Which process? What were the useful tools used to radicalize them?
Okay.
What is the aim and objective of radicalizing them?
Well, the security agency are also saying that this is basically like one of a non-kinetic measures to do that. But let's even ask.
So so they didn't follow the protocol.
Okay, let's ask a different question now. At what point, as a security expert, at what point does a security agency confidently say that a person is no longer a threat to the society?
When you have followed the whole protocol, when you have visited the main issues, because you cannot say, I arrest a thief, and I am sure this thief is not going to steal anymore.
Okay.
Because I just spoke to his mind. So, do you know that what led him to stealing is when he's hungry and have not?
Okay.
Do you know if what led him to stealing is because he has some competitive mindset? So you must find out what is in the mind, which is what we call the human behavioral system in psychology.
Okay.
So what is my priorities and not your priorities? What could make me change my mind is different from what will make you change your mind.
Okay.
So have they gone through such process in the 744 people? What was the index? What have they brought up as a report against each and every one of them?
Let's ask the final question.
Or they are taking this as a group holistically?
Let's ask the final question on this conversation right now, because many Nigerians are so worried and concerned about this, talking about the fact that thousands of Nigerians have been killed, or put it this way, Nigerians have been killed in their numbers in recent times, again, especially by these insurgents, by the terrorists in our country, Nigeria. Is Nigeria, or is our government prioritizing, justice, or they are not prioritizing it at this point in time? Are they prioritizing peace over justice at this point?
Yeah, I don't think what they're doing has anything to do with justice and peace.
So what do you think what does it have to do with?
We are aggravating our situation so that they can get more votes on security.
So you're saying that this de-radicalization, reintegration is all about the election come 2027?
Well, I don't use security I don't bring in politics into security.
Yeah, but you just insinuated that when it says about radicalizing, of course, to govern for more votes. That is
no, I didn't say vote.
That.
I'm talking of, when I say vote, I'm talking of the budget. The security budget.
Okay.
Just to get more security votes. That's what I mean. I am not talking of political votes.
All right.
I'm not talking of the ballot papers.
Okay. So basically, you're saying right now that, just to be more clear, this de-radicalization that we've seen right now, you're saying that it has no effect or whatsoever on the country?
No effect at all.
What would you advise that the government do in a situation like this?
They have to go back to the drawing table and bring up the universal protocol to make sure they are actually radicalizing people, or just bringing in people to build more security challenges.
All right, Professor, thank you so much for your time. We do appreciate it. We do have another conversation that we're going to be moving to right now, but we've been speaking with Professor Ibrahim Abubakar, a security expert, talking about the 774 people that were de-radicalized, also and then rehabilitated and reintegrated into our society in Nigeria. But we'll go on a break right now. When we'll come back, we'll move on to another conversation that we have outlined for you this morning. Do stay with us.